Alright guys, what we're going to talk about now is installing G-fenders, diamond fenders. The fenders come with a sprue, in which case, depending on where the sprue is, you might want to use it to hold them while you're coloring them. With G-fenders, they look best if you just take a Sharpie or a marker, and they look really good to color them this way. I just take the marker, and I use a glove because your hand will be black from it. You also want some fingernail clippers, some straight edge fingernail clippers to clip off where the sprue connects to it, and it'll take it off, you know, right even, so it looks good. So you're going to take a minute here, take your marker, you know, color each fender. I'll just show you. I'm going to turn the camera off while I'm doing that, but just to show you how to separate the G-fenders from the sprues. Well, a lot of times you can break them apart to start, and then use the fingernail clippers to clean them up. On the trailing fenders, just be careful you don't cut too hard or too deep. Anyway, I'm going to separate these out, and then I'm going to color them up with the marker, and we'll come back on film. Okay, finishing up the coloring. One thing when you're installing G fenders, it'll say G right here. The G goes right way up, so when you're installing the fender, make sure the G is right side up when you're putting it on. I'll just finish coloring this one. Gonna go black fenders on this too. That's the cool thing with the G fenders. They real easy to prep and color. If you want them colored, doesn't take but a minute. There's no shaping. Really makes it easy to build a fendered car. G fenders are the industry standard. There's lots of copies out there now, but the G fenders are still the highest performing. They're the only fenders out there that actually have been run through tests, simulations. They're designed to be the most aerodynamic. The diamond fenders especially. They have the most aerodynamic qualities as far as performance with a Pinewood Derby car of any fender on the market. When done right, they're definitely the top-notch fender. Okay, as you can see, my hands would be black if I didn't have my glove on. So take that precaution. The other thing you need is a wheel. Get the wheel you're going to use at least the same size, and I wrap a rubber band around it, and that's how I space out my fender. So I'll just put the wheel in. I don't put it in all the way. Remember, these are trailing fenders. The long ones trail behind the front wheel. I'd go ahead and lay them out so you get them on the right side. The front fenders are same thing. They still have G written on them, but they can be either in front of the front wheel or in front of the rear wheel. So you can kind of lay them out so you get them in the right spot. Glue, I just use your typical super glue. And the other key with the G fenders, the diamond fenders, is you want to make sure they center up on the wheel. So before you glue them, you can check with the wheel you've got and make sure they center. Now if the wheel is in too far like this one, that's fine, because then you can space the wheel out to meet the fender. Now if the fender's in too far, like so, then you're going to have to space the fender out or cut the hub down on your wheel. One or the other. The trick with the diamond fenders is you want them to center up on the wheel. So in this case, I will build up the wheel to meet the fender. Be careful not to glue my fingers this time. I'm not a big fan of super glue. I just center them up on the body, and you can press it up against the rubber band and just let it dry for a second before you pull the wheel off. And what I'll do is I'll go through and install the rest the same way. Trailing fenders will obviously go behind the front wheel. And the other thing too, the other trick is if you're using a different size raised wheel or a bent axle on the front wheel, it's good to get that bent axle in there and kind of get it steered about to where you're going to turn it. That way you can build the fender to exactly meet the car. So I'm going to go ahead and get the rest of them done, and then we'll come back to the video. Alright you guys, just to show you, I do have the raised wheel that goes with this car. And with the raised wheel, you don't really need to put a rubber band because the wheel's not spinning. So you can get that, mount that fender and have it, you button up to the raised wheel. So you get the exact fit. One other trick too, try to line your trailing fender up to where it would aim straight at the rear fender. That way you get a direct line, smoother airflow. You can adjust your wheelbase too to where if you want the fender to be at the front of the car, you can move your wheelbase forward, or if you wanted to, you can build up a piece of plastic or a piece of wood right there. There's a few things if you're creative and you can use right there. I just sit and let that dry for a second, and then we'll go on and get the bent axle for my front wheel that we'll work with. I'll be right back. Alright, we're back. I got a bent axle, got it turned about to where it will steer. That way you get the right gap on your front fender and rear fender. If you don't do that, then there's a chance when you're tuning the car that you're not going to get those fender, or you're going to turn the wheel to where it's touching a fender. And at that point you either have to pop the fender off and redo it, or get the sanding. But this way makes it easier to get the right gaps. And I still think I would gap it off just a hair off the rubber band. That way, just in case you got to do some more tuning, it shouldn't be an issue. Last thing you want is your front wheel, your dominant wheel rubbing. My rubber band on that raised wheel is a little bit goofy, but it's all right. Okay, now just let it sit and let that glue set up. right back. All right, it's all done. Car should be ready to roll. Like I said, with the G-fenders, make sure the G is right way up when you install it. Make sure the fenders center up on the wheels like you see on this raised wheel. Make sure you have enough gap between using a rubber band on the wheel you're going to use. But that's pretty much it. G-fenders, DerbyDad4Hire.com. Fastest fenders in the market.